Hello everyone, welcome to Challenge to Build. My name is Paul Michael and welcome back to the shop. As you can see, I'm kind of getting heavy into the fabrication for the truck bed. It's been almost 2 months since I've posted a video and I apologize about that. If you've been following along for some time, you will have known that I broke my left hand. I have just, within the last couple of days, been out in the garage working finally, picking up the momentum on the truck. And slowly have been trying to work my hand back into normal function. I do have a segment of video that I'm going to run first before we get into actually where I'm at today in the build. So I'm going to go ahead and run the first segment from 2 months ago. It will at least bring you up to speed on some of my bed that you see in front of me. So go ahead and roll that and I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. Hello everyone, I want to welcome you back to the channel and to the continuation of the build on the 1959 Chevy Viking pickup truck. If you remember, I talked about having the front spring shackles in the way of the body when it was going to be lowered down on the chassis. I spent some time modifying the floor, cutting the floor out so that way the truck would sit down level on the frame. Got all the body mounts in on all of the corners for the front and the cab, and then also proceeded to put the bed on the chassis. After getting the bed placed on and going further into the build with how this is going to look, one of the major changes that I wasn't planning on doing was I am going to make it so that this bed tilts up similar to like a dump truck. And the reason for that is, one, I will be able to service the tires more easily with the bed up. Second reason is simply because it's cool, right? You go to the car show, you park it, you lower it, you pop the bed up, and it just looks cool. Three, a lot of the work that I have done over the last year, you can't even see now because of the body sitting on the truck. The work in the frame is what I want to try to show off. So if I tilt the bed up, at least you can poke your head in, kind of see some of the work that I've done. I can service the air tanks, fuel tank, solenoid valves for the airbag system. Once I decided to do that, it completely changed the game on the pre-existing bed. The pre-existing bed definitely has quite a few issues as far as the work that has been done from the previous owner. A lot of the sheet metal has been kind of tack welded, spot welded together. There's a lot of rust issues, which don't necessarily bother me. It's more as far as the quality of work with the spot welds and different things on how this thing is actually put together. And for the amount of time and effort and money that I'm going to put into this to make this bed tilt, with also having the wood in and having the gooseneck in, all of the different aspects behind building a custom truck, I didn't want the work that I put into it to fall apart later on down the road because I just didn't take the extra steps to fix some of the problems that were already in. I'm going to start by cutting down and welding up the stake pockets, putting the stake pockets on, and then putting the front panel on. So in order to make my own stake pockets, I'm going to make my own design, and it's essentially a piece of poster board, tracing out a design. It's 2 inches at the top, 3 inches at the bottom. I made some dots and then took some masking tape to get the radius and just cut out a template. I then just laid out the template and then traced my line. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and cut out the pie piece that's in the pocket and then fold over this flat part and then weld everything, grind everything smooth, and then these will become my steak pockets. So it probably only took me about 5 minutes or so to cut out the 2 pie shapes in the steel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this in. Let me get a clamp. Like so. Once I clamp that, I will weld down these seams, take my flat disc or grinder, radius them seams out to make it look like a stock piece of tubing. And then I have just now created my own steak pocket, which will take the place of these. Pretty simple, clean, and cheap. Now I just have to do it 3 more times and get them welded up. hopefully that brings you all up to speed on about where I am at today. The last little clip of me cutting and grinding the rear frame rail. Some of you may have seen that. Some of you may have not seen that. I have been working on the rear truck frame rails the last couple of days, and that was something that I wanted to put in there to kind of bring you up to speed on what happened over here. As you can see, the bed right here, the beginning portion of the video talked about the stake pockets. As I was building this, I realized that I needed to kind of shift my momentum from working on the bed to getting the framework and the frame ready to go to accept the new bed. So I kind of transferred my energy from working on this over to here. What I had to do was I had to extend my frame rails 2.5 inches to accept the new bed length. So once I get these ground down, get the frame rails ground down, these are going to get attached here. There is also quite a bit of other metal sitting on top of this frame. These pieces are going to be attached underneath down here like this. And what this is going to allow me to do is a couple of things. This is also going to be, this is going to be the start of my bumper pull hitch. With the dumping mechanism on the truck bed, the pivot point becomes very important due to how this is going to operate. So this is going to be my pivot point down on the bottom here. And another thing that it's going to allow me to do is actually move my gas tank back a little bit and drop it, because now I need to drill a hole for the filler neck through the frame rail out to the other side because of the metal framework that's going to lay down on top of the frame, because now I'm going to make it dump. And then the rest of the metal that you see on top of the frame is going to be for the actual mechanism that's going to go up and down with the bed on top, basically just a rectangle framework. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus on tack welding in the frame extensions along with the underneath supports for the hitch and pivots. And so a lot of work has been done, a lot of work still needs to be done. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and get to work. So let's challenge the build. I'm doing now is just kind of setting the lower frame rail into place. I got my box tubing on the sides clamped to the frame rail, so that way I have at least a parallel line down, and making some fine adjustments with the BFH and getting everything clamped together so that way I can weld this side in, and then I'll repeat the same process that I did on this side, on that side, and then get everything tacked and not fully welded yet. Once I get this done, I'm gonna go move toward making the rectangle frame for the dump bed. So that's what's going on. So now I have everything in place and tack welded on this side. I am going to repeat the process on the other side. Unfortunately, with welding this side and the little bit of welding that I have been doing, I ran out of welding wire. So I am going to take a break and run out and get some more welding wire, and I'll pick up a new tank of shielding gas as well. And then when I come back, you'll see me place that side and get that side tack welded into place. And then once that happens, I'm going to move on to the framework for the dumping bed. So I'll catch you in a little bit. So now I'm back with the replacement wire for the welder. Also made myself an afternoon cup of coffee, and I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it is super windy outside. So we are about to get a storm here. So hopefully that doesn't mess up my electricity situation here. But anyway, I'm going to repeat more of the same process that from this side to over here, starting with clamping it up, putting my my tubing up to get it parallel top to bottom, get everything clamped together, get it tack welded, and then continue moving on with the build. So cue the music, and this time I'm going to run time lapse, so enjoy the show. So now that I have the frame extensions and the lower frame extensions welded in, I am going to now focus my attention on the framework that the bed is actually going to sit on and tilt. So I'm going to start off by placing 1/2-inch rubber blocks on the frame as spacers. Put these frame rails on top, and I'm going to pretty much do these the same way that I did the lower supports. I'm going to run some steel tubing on the sides, clamp tight to the side walls, running up, and then clamp this to that, so that way I know everything is parallel. I have the front cross member. So there you have it, everyone. That is going to conclude today's episode. We definitely made quite a dent in the progress, but we still have a long ways to go. The top frame has been tack welded together and sitting in place, so you can kind of see what that is going to look like. We got to make arrangements for adding in the bumper pull hitch, and we also have to weld in the gooseneck hitch as well. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's episode. I appreciate you watching. I know this was probably a longer episode, but due to the fact that I haven't posted any progress on the channel or on the truck for a while, I figured I would give you a hearty helping of Challenge to Build. In the next video, we are going to continue the fabrication on the bed, specifically more targeted toward the bed this time. It's going to be including the framework that the bed is going to be welded to, and then continuing the actual bed fabrication and possibly mocking up some fenders, depending on how much time and work gets accomplished between now and then. If you want to support Challenge to Build any farther than just watching on YouTube, you can go to my eBay store, Challenge to Build, on eBay. There is a link in the description below. With that, I thank you again for watching. My name is Paul Michael. This is Challenge to Build. Now I want you to go out and challenge your build. I'll see you in the next episode.